Hey guys, all right, so we're gonna be starting our first circuit today. The first movement that we're gonna do today is gonna be working on progressing our hinge movement, right? So before we were working with that kettlebell deadlift, making sure that we're focusing on really chopping at the hips, allowing those hips to come back, keeping that back nice and straight, right? Now what we wanna do is add a little bit of power to that movement, okay? Add a little bit of explosiveness, okay? So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna use a kettlebell to do some kettlebell swings. Okay. The way we'll set up is going to be our feet nice and a little bit past shoulder width apart. Okay. We'll be slightly in front of the kettlebell. When we get down, we want to get down in the same type of pattern. So we're going to chop at those hips, allow those hips to come back. And then we want to think about as if we're slightly reaching for that kettlebell. And then we're thinking almost as if we're like hiking a football, right? We're thinking about keeping it nice and close to the body here. I don't want to let it come down below the knees and pull myself further down. I want to be nice and explosive, come behind the body here. And then as I allow the momentum to move through, we're going to bring the hips forward and then nice and right in front. We don't want to go too high up. We want to make sure it's nice and controlled here. Okay? So it'll be looking just like this. We'll be here. Just like that, okay? Then from there, we're gonna be moving on over here. Again, a little bit of a progression on our lift here. So last time we were working with that inline lift here, going across, right? What we wanna do here is now we're gonna add a little bit more movement here. We're gonna have our feet nice and squared off here. We wanna have a good amount of resistance here, and we'll start with that hand nice and right by that pocket. Okay, from here, we'll let those hips come back into that squat. As I come back up, I'm gonna lift to the corner here. I wanna make sure I keep my hips nice and squared off. Okay, we're not gonna be turning too much here. Okay, I wanna think nice and squared off here. We'll have it nice and in that inside pocket, comes down, nice and controlled. Okay, you'll be doing 8 on each side there. And then from there, we'll move on to our bear crawl plank here. So we were doing the bear crawl before here with that lateral bear crawl. We were here, moving to our sides here. Now what we want to do here is we're going to start with essentially have ours be on 3 points of contact, okay? So we want to think about being on all 4 here. Allow those knees to come up slightly. So then we're in that bear crawl position. And then from here, trying to not let the rest of the body move. I want to tap that shoulder, tap that shoulder. Just like that, guys. You guys are going to go for 10. And then that's going to be your first circuit. All right, guys, now we're gonna start with our second circuit here. So our first movement is gonna be our lateral squat. We're gonna be including a little bit of weight on this one. So we're adding a little bit of resistance here. So what we'll have here is we wanna have that med ball nice and right in the middle here. We'll have a nice wide stance here. Okay, a little bit past shoulder width apart. We still wanna think about it as a squat, so I want you to think about bringing those hips back. Okay, making sure that knees traveling in the same direction as those toes. And then we're gonna push that weight nice and right in front as we come down, okay? Think about it as a little bit of a counterbalance as you're bringing your hips back. So we'll be here, nice and knee right over that toe. Comes right back. Knee right over that toe. Back. Bring those hips back. Just like that for those lateral med ball squats. And then from there, we're gonna be moving onto our alternating Z press. Okay, so what we wanna think about here is we wanna think about using a pretty light band to begin with here. You're not gonna be using too much resistance. One of the main things we wanna focus on here is really that core stability, that core strength here. So we're not gonna allow ourselves to lean back too much, okay? We're gonna think about keeping a nice proud chest, keeping our body nice and upright. From here, we're gonna think about keeping those elbows close to the body here. And from here, we're not gonna let them flare out too far out. We're gonna think about traveling in a straight line, getting that bicep right next to the ear. We want to make sure that we maintain that nice proud chest. Don't let those shoulders start to cave in here. Nice proud chest. And straight up. Okay. Then from there, we'll move on to our banded pull aparts here. Again, here, you're going to want to use a relatively light band to start off with. What we want to think about here is making sure that our palms are going to be facing down, and we're aiming to put that band nice and right in the sternum here. So we're going to think about squeezing those shoulder blades in the back and making a nice T with the body. All right, guys, and that'll be your second circuit. All right, guys, for our final circuit today, our first movement, what we're gonna be doing is a bird dog row. Okay, so what we're gonna think about again is really focusing on that core strength as we're working with a little bit of resistance, right? So we're gonna think about here, we're gonna have our opposite leg nice and straight out with that same bird dog position. So we have that bird dog here before, where we're reaching out in front, reaching our leg back. Okay, this will be our starting position here with that foot in the back, that knee nice and right underneath the hip, and right underneath the shoulder. From here, we should have the weight off to the side here. Okay, and then nice and controlled, we're thinking about bringing that elbow back and really contracting that lat. So we're here, nice and controlled. We want to think about making sure that we're focusing on quality over quantity, right? So we don't want to think about speed here. If we're starting to lose our balance, I don't want you to just jerk it up, right? We want to make sure that we keep that balance nice and strong. We keep our stability, and it's nice and controlled. Okay, from there, we're going to be moving on to our dead bugs here. So what we're going to be doing here is some banded dead bugs. We're going to think about having our back nice and flat on the ground here. We'll have the band nice and right over the arches here. I want to think about achieving 90 degrees here at the knees, making sure that those shins are going to be nice and horizontal. Okay. From here, we'll have our arms nice and right in front of the shoulders here, making sure we're stacking those joints. And then from here, again, we're working opposite arm, opposite leg. I'll bring my right hand back, my left leg forward, making sure this leg does not move. We're resisting nice and controlled. Keep that other hand right over that shoulder. We come back to our starting position. And then nice. Think about as if you're pointing that thumb. Like that, guys. And then from there, we're going into some weighted goblet carries. So we'll be using that goblet or that kettlebell again here. What we want to think about here is anti-flexion. So we don't want to let that weight start to make us cave in here. Let those shoulders come forward. We're going to think about bringing that weight up, keeping it nice and right in front of the chin here. Okay, keeping that nice proud chest, and then as we're walking through, we're making sure we're walking on train tracks. We don't want to start letting those feet cross. We're keeping ourselves nice and strong here, keeping ourselves nice and straight. Nice proud chest. We'll walk 20 yards here. Okay, and that'll be your third circuit.